Salvete omnes, and welcome to Caesar's Gallic Wars, Book 5, Section 28. When last we left Julius Caesar, we were listening to a speech from Ambiorix, one of the Gauls, who was explaining the situation. And the Romans have to go back to their council and debate what they are going to do in response to Ambiorix's lengthy speech. So let us begin. Arpaneus and Junius quae audierunt ad legatos deferunt. Arpaneus and Junius report deferunt from ferro tulilatus, report what they had heard ad legatos to the legates or the envoys. Ili repentina re perturbati, etsi ab hosta ea dicebantur, tamen non neg legenda existimabant. They, meaning the legates, having been disturbed by this sudden matter or this sudden turn of events, this sudden affair. Remember, res re means thing, affair, matter. Disturbed by this sudden thing. Although these things, ea is a form of isea id. It is the neuter plural. It can translate as these, or in this case, these things. Although these things were being said, imperfect passive, by an enemy, ablative of personal agent, tamen, nevertheless, they thought that they should not be neglected or ignored. Nevertheless, they thought they should not be ignored. Maximeque hoc re permoebantur. They were especially moved by this matter or by this situation because civitatem ignobilem aquae humilem eburonum sua sponte popula Romanum bellum facere ausum weeks erat credendum. It was scarcely weeks to be believed that this, remember, civitas is a tribe, that this obscure, ignobilem, and insignificant tribe of the Eburones, sua sponte, of their own accord, dared, ausam, from audeo adere, ausasum, which means to dare, dared to bellum facere, to make war on the Roman people. Itaque ad concilium rem deferunt. And so they bring the matter, the situation, to the council. This is for a debate. Magnaque inter eos existit controversia. And a controversia, or a dispute or debate, or a great dispute, a magna controversia, exists or arises inter eos, among them. Okay, and this is what is God. So we have one person who is going to argue one side, and then we have another person arguing another side. So Lucius Aurunculeius Complurisque tribuni militum et primum ordinum centuriones nihil temere agendum neque ex hibernis in usu Caesaris discendendum existimabant. So Lucius Aurunculeius and several tribunes of the military or of the soldiers and centurions of the primorum ordinum, those are genitives there, of the first orders, thought, and we have to go all the way down to existimabat. Remember, think takes a indirect statement. So they thought, all these people thought that nihil, nothing, agendum, ought to be done temere, rashly, nor that did not think that they should leave ex hibernis from the winter quarters in usu Caesaris, without an order of Caesar. Quantas vis copias etiam Germanorum sustenere passi munitis hibernis docebant. They showed that however many troops, even if there were many of the Germans, that however many troops, even if there were many, were able, passa, to be sustained with the hibernis munitis, with the winter quarters having been fortified. And this fact, this thing, rem, esse, was the testimonio, was the proof. This is a little dative of purpose here. And this was the proof or the evidence for that. That they had sustained sustinuerent, they had sustained the primum impetum, the first attack of the enemy, um, fortissime, very bravely. So a superlative adverb there. So they had sustained this very bravely, this first attack of the enemy, and with multis, and even so, and further, ultra, with multis vulneribus illatis, with many wounds inflicted on the enemy, with many wounds inflicted on them. They also said that re frumentaria non premi. They were not pressed for re frumentaria, for grain. Meanwhile, interia et ex proximis Hibernis et I Caesara conventura subsidia. Meanwhile, there would be subsidia, help would come conventura from the nearest winter quarters, proximis Hibernis, and from Caesar. So they said, we don't have a lot of grain. We were already able to withstand these attacks, and we were going to get some help. Caesar, people are nearby, so we can get some help if anything happens. Postremo quid esse levius auturpius quam octore hoste de summis rebus capere concilium. And then they finally say they're talking about this enemy giving them advice. And they asked, what was more unreliable or more turpious, shameful? We have two comparative adjectives here. What was more unreliable or more unshameful, comparative adjectives, than to capere concilium, to seize a plan, de summis rebus, or to make a plan about very important matters, about the highest matters, auctura hoste, very literally here with the enemy as the author, or we can also say on the advice of the enemy. And finally, they asked, what is even more shameful and more unreliable than to seize a plan concerning the utmost important matters with the enemy as our advisor on the advice of an enemy. So that's the one side of this council that is debating. And then we are also going to hear the other side of the debate. So we'll have to wait and see what the other side has to say and figure out what side you agree with and which side will the council go with and what will the Romans do in response to Ambiorix's speech. That's all for now. Walete.